Welcome to Financial Planning Explained, and I'm your host, Mike Menninger, certified financial planner, owner and founder of Menninger and Associates Financial Planning. I am here with my co-host, Kyle Ryan, who's also a CFP as well as a chartered financial consultant. We like to provide educational content and, where possible, be entertaining, which half the people tell me I'm entertaining all by myself, but that's a separate issue. But what we're going to talk about today is something. I've got a great guest we've had the opportunity to meet once before. His name is Andy Gurkzak, and we're going to talk about public adjusting. That's a very different topic, but certainly has financial implications. I mean, if you really get down to risk management, which is one of the 6 areas of financial planning, risk management is the purchase of insurance. Okay, well, you buy insurance, whether it be homeowners insurance, automobile insurance, life insurance, disability, you name it. Okay, well, you buy insurance that in the event that you have something come up, you put in a claim, and the intent of the claim is to get paid. However, one of the things that I've learned over time is insurance companies like to take your money, but aren't always very quick to give the money back out. With that, that's why we've got Andy on today. Andy, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to the show. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for having me on. My name is Andy Gurkzak. I'm the CEO, founder of Allcity Adjusting. We're a licensed public adjusting firm. Our home base here, our home office is here in Northwest Indiana. We cover 31 states, and we advocate for the insured. We represent them when it comes to property damage, whether it's commercial, residential. Our specialty is large loss, mostly fire, hurricane, large water losses, commercial roofing, and claims like that. I myself was in construction. We immigrated, from Europe here in '99. I was in construction. Then met a PA that was in the business for 40 years that kind of took me under his wing, taught me the entire industry, all the 40 years of experience I kind of soaked in 3 years, and then we ended up opening up Allcity Adjusting, and the rest was kind of history. And now we're here.
Oh, wow.
With you guys.
So you've owned this business now for 20 years?
Over 10 years that we've been incorporated.
Okay,
Wow.
Good.
Nice.
Good. But you've been a public adjuster for how long?
About 15 years.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
3 or 4 years, if not longer. We were with her. I was kind of learning the business before we incorporated.
Right. Well, it's kind of funny. We had talked about this on prior episodes, and I say it all the time. It's amazing what experience can do, because it's also amazing how it seems like you constantly see things you've never seen before. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. In our industry, after 10 years or after how many years it's been, there's no day that's the same. Every claim is different. Everything changes. There's never a constant with the claims game, like the claims process.
Well, it keeps it interesting, and we have the same thing in our industry. No two people are the same, which makes it interesting, makes it fun, change of pace. How many people do you have at Allcity?
In office 7, and then 3 on the field.
Oh, nice. You got 10 people. We say 7 in the field. I'm sorry.
7 in office.
7 in office,
house, and then 3 in
So coming from construction,
we've grown pretty significantly, especially the last couple of years. So
good. So coming from the construction background that you mentioned, how did you get into public adjusting? How did you meet Herb? How is it something that you found interest in?
Yeah. It's kind of all by accident. I was working for a gentleman. We were doing fire restoration. Herb was actually the PA that was the main PA for the client. He ended up coming to the job because there was some disagreement with the insurance company while we were doing some work. So then I asked my boss, who that is. He kind of introduced me. And then for like 2 years, I would call Herb, to teach me everything, kind of, hey, can you mentor me? And he kept blowing me off. And then after 2 years, finally, he's like, hey, you're annoying, so let's go.
Yeah, right. That's funny. That's funny.
So he had no choice.
You know what? Persistence.
I was very persistent. I was not going to give up. So.
Absolutely. Persistence pays off. You're right. And so you got it because of the fact that, now if I at least answer you, I don't have to deal with you bothering me anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Out. He had no choice. So he's like, all right, man, let's go. I'm about to retire anyway, so let me just kind of show you everything. So then I got all this knowledge of 40 years of how he discusses claims with adjusters and how he handles himself in front of insurance adjusters, just the whole game. I mean, it was a lot to take in.
No, I'm sure, and you probably continue to learn every day too. I know we do.
Oh, it's always something. Yep.
So, are you one of the 7 people in the office?
No, there's 7. I'm technically the owner, so no, I don't consider myself one of the 7.
Oh, okay. But do you spend a lot of time in the field yourself?
I do. Now I've kind of changed my role. We brought in kind of people that are handling the claims day to day, and I'm trying to really take more, kind of take myself out of the claims and more of growing the business, growing it with marketing, sales, and putting teams together, to have growth so we can move in and take on more claims and help more people.
Of course. Well, the other thing too is that with your experience, you can also serve in a way as a consultant to your other staff members.
Correct. I still overlook everything. We still have claims discussions when it comes to certain claims that we discuss them. We kind of come up with game plans how we're going to handle claims. But like I said, I've taken a more role of trying to grow the business now and build a brand. It's hard to do it if you're just handling claims every day.
Of course.
Can't really do both.
Of course.
And Andy, you mentioned that you met your mentor when you were at a job site and there was an issue with a claim. Can you do us a favor and educate us and the viewers on what exactly a public adjuster does?
Yeah, please do.
Correct. Yeah. So a public adjuster is an advocate for the insured, whether it's commercial or residential claim, whether you're a business owner, landlord, or just a regular homeowner and you have a claim. That public adjuster handles that claim, the entire process. Usually, most of the time you want that claim process to be handled all the way from the beginning all the way to the end. We handle anything from business interruption to the coverage A, coverage B. We negotiate the claims, settle them, make sure that the client gets max settlement for each coverage, and then kind of walk them through the entire process and kind of hold their hand and help them through the process.
Well, I could see the main thing with a public adjuster is serving as the advocate for the client because, in my introduction, the insurance company is typically out there to try to save as much money as possible. And I've heard plenty of horror stories where a customer goes in. In fact, ironically, I just had one this week where the insurance company was only offering a ridiculously stupid amount of something like $10,000 when in fact it was about a $100,000 claim. And so they had to get a public adjuster involved with that. So it was an interesting story. I have to imagine you have plenty of stories over the course of time.
Correct.
So
correct. And that happens when you say that, so they got a public adjuster involved after most people get us involved. Once they see something's going on, either they get a low ball offer or the claim's getting delayed, something's happening that triggers them to kind of look at, to find or research help, and that's where they kind of find the public adjuster.
Well, is that too late?
No, it's not too late. But for majority of our clients, most of our clientele is going to be investors, landlords. They'll call us right away. As soon as something happens, we'll get a call, and then we'll work the claim right from the beginning. But sometimes people do call us when it's 6 months of the claim, and then their claim has been denied. Then they reach out and say, my claim was denied. What do I do? Well, it's too late. You've already told them everything. It's too late for us to go back and take 6 months, and go back in time and just erase 6 months of everything you've told them.
I know. You know what? It reminds me of, legal counsel. You get legal counsel and you said all kinds of dumb things that are going to be held against you, that you bring the attorney in afterwards and you're done. You're toast. It sounds very much the same way.
Correct.
Andy, what are some discrepancies that you, as the public adjuster, find that the insurance company, what you deem to be a value of something and what they deem to be a value of something? What are some of the common discrepancies that you see there that you're able to help your clients with?
Discrepancies and what we're helping. Well, you have to imagine the insurance company, the adjusters that are working, and everyone that's working for the insurance company is getting paid by the insurance company. So all their interest is based on the insurance company, saving money. Where they used to be, eye for coverage. Now they're kind of looking, where can they delay the claim, deny it? I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing is policy, right? They're looking at the policy and looking at terms and saying, okay, well, this is wear and tear, right? This is you not maintain, this roof is wear and tear. You didn't maintain the roof. Well, that's not true because, there is, if we're going to agree that there's damage to the roof, and then the insurance company goes and denies the claim because they say, well, you didn't maintain the roof or the roof is old. Well, the roof is old. All that says is that the depreciation should be much higher on that roof, right? The roof, we can agree, has damage, which should be covered, and now we can depreciate, not just say it's wear and tear has caused that damage. So they're trying to take terms and use them against the insured. Anything they can find in that policy is kind of the biggest thing we're seeing, is where can they pull like some kind of a term to deny the loss.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what I say. Their goal is to pay as little as possible. It's funny how insurance companies are that way, but you know what? That's how they become profitable.
But it's hard for people to understand that. So we would try to educate people, and that's the worst part is when they call us too late, or when they notify us and say something happened and it's too late for us to help.
Well,
and when you talk to people right in the beginning, sometimes we have consultation with clients for free, and we explain to them what's going to happen, how the claim scenario is going to go, and what to expect. And they're like, I've been with this company for 20 years. The agent's my neighbor. We're all great friends. Okay, no problem. Then they call us 2 months later. Holy smokes, we got underpaid. They don't want to pay us this. Yeah. Well, now it's because they just don't want to. They're just oblivious to what's going on, and no one's seeing what we see. Even agents don't know what's happening in the claims game because no one's seeing it.
Well, it's funny because it reminds me a little bit of our profession. It probably applies to almost every other profession. You don't know what you don't know. And, so it raises the question, and I can see this philosophically as an individual saying, hey, I got a claim, but I don't want to get a claims adjuster because I would get $10,000 from the insurance company, but if I get an adjuster, I'm going to get less than $10,000 by the time I get done paying you. So therefore, it now raises the question, how do you get paid?
Correct. So public adjusters get paid on contingency. It's usually a percentage of a claim. So for us, a starting percentage is 10% of the claim. So whatever the final claim amount is or whatever the final settlement is, it's 10% that gets paid when the client gets paid.
Okay.
So they have really nothing to lose. A lot of people feel, when it's their first time having a claim, they're like, well, if we pay you, you're going to take 10%. Are we going to have enough to cover the claim? We always tell clients, you could probably pay us 30, 40%, and then you still have more enough to pay a contractor and still have money to pay it. Like you'll have enough of everything. A lot of people they're more worried about the fee than actually what the claim's going to be, what the process is going to be. But it's unfortunate. So it's hard to get through some people. And it's probably, you guys know, as financial advising, it's the same thing, right? You could tell them all day long about financial advising and what needs to be done. It's hard, right? Some people just get hung up on fees and commissions and.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
The thing I'd say to that is price is only an issue in the absence of value.
That is correct.
And for your case, if they weren't going to get that money anyway, it's like an attorney. Hey, I'll charge you, I'll take 15% if we win, and it's nothing if we lose. And why not? It's a win-win for the client. You wouldn't have gotten it either way.
Or they may say, well, I would have gotten the $10,000 anyway. Why should I pay $1,000 for that $10,000? When in fact,
they wouldn't actually get it.
The odds are probably greater that you'd get them more than $10,000 and more than pay for yourself.
So some people, what they do is when they'll call, they'll say, well, let me wait and let me see what the insurance offers me, and then we'll call you. And we always try to say it like that's not the case. Because by the time that happens, it might be 2 to 3 months by the time they offer you a settlement, or they might just deny your claim because you already told them the wrong stuff. Like we have that same, like in Florida, we have a claim that the owner called us, like, well, I'm going to call you. He ended up signing with us a week after the fire happened. And in that week time, he told the insurance company everything. Like it's so much that he told them the last history of his whole life and everything that now there's like every investigator is involved and the claim is not getting paid.
Right. Okay.
So when we explained to him like, hey, we'll handle this. Just let us do everything. You just sit. You don't do anything. He's like, no, I got it.
That's interesting. I'm glad you pointed that up. And each time you say that, it reminds me of an attorney. Attorney saying, hey, look, shut up, don't say anything because anything you use will be used against you. So actually, we're up against break already. So Andy, if you could just hang on for 1 minute, we're just going to be back to you in just a few moments. Please stay tuned. We'll be back.
Do you keep up regularly with your investments? Where exactly are your hard-earned dollars going? Are you financially prepared for an emergency?
I'm Mike Menninger, founder of Menninger and Associates Financial Planning. We believe that education and knowledge are powerful, and we want our clients to understand why we are making the recommendations that we make. It's your money, and you deserve to know where it's going, because it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. So call us today to discuss your financial concerns. Welcome back to Financial Planning Explained. And we're here with Andy, who is going to continue on. We're talking about he's a public adjuster. And where I'd like to pick up again, I know Kyle brought it up at the beginning, or we talked about it before, I don't remember, but how's the industry changed? You worked with Herb, who's been in it for 40 years. You saw it involved. Kyle has a client who is a public adjuster who's retired, and she pointed out that the industry has changed. But why don't you share with the audience?
Yeah, the industry is definitely changing, and it's changing drastically. It seems like every year. And from insurance companies using, not even adjusting claims no more, sending third parties for, sending engineers, sending consultants, sending every party that they can to get a report to deny, it seems like to deny a claim, not pay, find reason not to pay a claim. That's happening. It's less, it used to be so many adjusters for the insurance company that were, staff adjusters that were local, that had experience in construction, where now you have, 21, 22-year-olds out of college writing estimates or trying to meet with you, and you're trying to explain to someone that's never done any construction or any adjusting, explain why they need to pay for something, right? And then from the PA industry, on our side, it used to be very personal. I was brought up and taught everything to be done in person. Hey, you get more done meeting someone in person, talking to them, creating some kind of a relationship, and that's always worked for us. It's something like we teach in-house to all our staff is get on the phone, see if you can meet that person, that insurance company adjuster or whoever they're sending out in person, try to come in an agreement. But it seems like the industry's going more of let's do everything through emails and texts, and no one wants to pick up the phone and be a person no more.
Did
so
COVID
that's
change that?
one of them. But we can make a list and go.
Did you find that COVID changed things a lot in that regard? Because everything you're telling me, we are observing as well. Not as much, but I mean, did COVID change that?
I think before COVID it was already changing. I think COVID just kind of made it more like reassured the insurance companies like, hey, we can do more stuff remote, send these third parties, and kind of made it more confirmed everything, I think.
Right.
So now we're seeing it more and more, but it was already changing.
Yeah, I can imagine. See, you also reference they're sending engineers out, et cetera, and I could see you getting into battles, quite honestly.
And Mike, let me really quick go into the insurance world. So if I'm trying to buy an insurance policy, right? And I call you because you're an agent. You tell me, hey, this is a good policy. You should have this. Oh, you have a finished basement. You should have this kind of insurance. Add on this. But now you could buy insurance from a website online, right? That's changing. So people are buying their own insurance without an agent, without any advice. Think about that. Without anyone actually giving advice, like they're buying policies, they have no clue what they're buying.
I know it.
And then when something happens, the insurance company goes, well, you didn't tell us this, or this, your roof was 20 years old. We don't pay for old. Well, you insured me. Well, there's no agent to go. So it's definitely, it's just like getting financial advisor from some computer, right? And then when something happens, you're like, oh, well, who's there? You're doing this with no one. I don't know.
I was thinking when I first got my car insurance, I was like, wow, this got so much cheaper. Little did I realize I just cut every single protection off.
And they announced that, and I'm going to leave the company name out. Well, we could save you 15% because we could cut your coverage by 15%. So
but they never tell you that. They say,
no.
hey, come to our side.
I just see the savings on my end. I don't think about what it'll cost in the back.
You know what, Andy, and you bring up, it's amazing. You're right. So many people say, well, I can do this. Okay. And 1-800 dial a will, or like, I want to get a will. And they go in and they get a will. The problem is that if they did it with an attorney, they got a consultant who's helping them, because you don't know what you don't know. And I can't begin to emphasize that. So I'm glad you said that, because we run into it in our industry, and you obviously run into yours. So you pointed out that you have 31 states. That you caught me off guard when you said that. How can you handle 31 states? Is it cost effective? How do you do it? Or is that your three guys running around building up frequent flyer miles?
No, so we focus. When I was brought up in the industry and I was learning the industry, we were only doing fire losses, fire adjusting. So, I grew up with doing. I grew up and I got into this industry, adjusting and doing claims, large claims, large loss we call it, with like fire claims. Pipe burst on the third floor, flooded the whole house. A hurricane came in, knocked the whole house down. So we do large claims. So those claims, we have a staff where we can travel, and it's financially sound for us to travel and handle claims. And people, there's no difference if you hire in terms of, they're like, well, I'd rather get a local company. Well, you have to be careful because 90% of public adjusters do storm, hail, residential claims. You have to know who you're hiring. We specialize in large loss.
Yeah, okay.
I can give you an example. We just did a church in Indiana. They received a settlement offer of $7-something, almost $800,000. We wrapped that claim up for $3 million.
Yeah, no, okay, there you go.
The thing about that's 2.2 million increase. Whether that's in Alaska, it doesn't. We specialize in it, so our team's big enough to go. If we have to send the whole team because there's so many different coverages that we're handling, that's what we do. I mean, we have the team to. Right now, we have the team big enough to handle each day, and that's why I took the step back to kind of keep growing to make sure we can handle the influx of claims we're getting.
Well, there you go.
And that was a really good point because it made me think earlier when you mentioned that there are, these insurance companies. It seems like they're geared to try and deny more claims than approve them. So, and they're sending out more technically sound, engineers rather than people who may have been in construction. Yep. They're sending out the engineers. Does that force you as a company, and you mentioned it already, that you are niching? Do you have to be more technically sound yourselves in order to combat, these engineers that are coming out to try and disprove these claims?
Or do you hire consultants as well?
So we have, whether what state we're working in, we have vendors that we call on that have been in, for example, in roofing or, engineering or any other, if we need to, right? It's rare. We have a trained staff. I was in construction for a long time. So I know, even when, whatever loss it comes to, even the church we just did, that loss that they brought a consultant that the insurance company sent in a consultant, and I'm like, oh wow, the guy comes in, gets off his car, he's like, yeah, I've been building churches my whole life. So I'm like, wow, this guy knows his stuff. And then we start walking and discussing the building. I'm like, shit, he knows as much as me, if not less.
Yeah, right, I know. That's funny.
At that point I realized, I'm like, he comes up and I'm like, man, he's been doing this for a long time. He really knows his stuff. After we discussed it, I'm like, he knows less. He doesn't know, we were just in Florida for a large roof, for a residential roof. And they said they were going to send an engineer. And the guy comes out. We start talking. We're like, so what engineer are you? Structural, forensic, professional. He goes, no, I'm not an engineer. I'm just an architect. But I have my roofing consultant or something. So they sent out an architect to meet with us and the roofer, to discuss can the roof be repaired or not.
Yeah, right.
Do you think about that?
I know.
Again, and that's what they're doing. So if the homeowner or if the insured doesn't have someone on their side, like a PA, like someone that knows what they're talking about, then I mean, you're really in a bad situation.
Well, so you reference your large claims. I don't know. Do you have minimums?
Do we have minimums? We like to work claims, 100,000 and up.
Okay.
That's kind of our basis. But we have so many investors and long-term clients that's been with us that's how kind of we grew, by the way. We grew because we had so many investors that had properties in different states. So as they grew their portfolio, we grew with them.
Yeah.
So we would then reciprocate and get a license in the next day and get offices and keep growing. So we grew with them. So now, we do smaller claims for clients that we've had for a long time. Like
right.
We just did one for one of our investors. It was a smaller claim, only $30,000. This was in Georgia, that we flew to Georgia, but he got offered. We went there. I know his initial offer from the insurance company was less than his deductible. We just finished up. It's almost $30,000, right? So on the smaller side, but it's a long-term client, so we'll always help out. And
trust me, we fully understand that concept. Yep. So, I mean, how do people outside of the state know of you or find you, or you're building a brand and a reputation, but if you're located either in the Midwest, you have clients who may have portfolios around, but how do you identify that company or the potential homeowner or business owner who sustained a loss from a hurricane in Florida?
Yeah, we have offices in different states that we have other people work in, so that helps. But
Yeah.
we do a good job marketing. So last 2 years, we've built really online, like a help network of all these blogs and all these articles about what to do when you have a claim, whether it's fire claim, water claim, and we're trying to, build education platform, because that's how people really start looking, like what to do after a fire loss. What do I do if the insurance company is lowballing me? Articles like that, and we're just trying to educate. And once people kind of start reading, that's when they start reaching out to us.
That's funny you say that. So in other words, you better have, and this is my recommendation to you, because I'm finding that we're getting a lot of people calling into us. It's a function of having a good website.
Yeah, the website's huge. Our marketing team and what we've done with our website and our articles. I mean, we're what we've done in 2 years and where we're going. That's why I keep mentioning that I take a step back, because if I don't, we'll get an influx of leads and we won't be ready to take in, or we won't be ready for the growth. So I'm trying to make sure that the company's ready for growth, and we can expand. And again, it doesn't help if we get 10 more clients a day if we can't help them, right? So we want to make sure we can actually help the claims we take in.
So my favorite recent story is a client of mine who lives in Santa Barbara, California. Do you remember they had the wildfires out there? Well,
Yes, sir.
So, he had his little scooter and he's tooling around, and he comes by this house, and they lived up on the Riviera, and there's like house after house after house are $3 to $5 million homes. And he gets by the one house, and there's a fire truck parked in the driveway. And he's like, okay, that was kind of interesting. So he drives up, and there's firemen hanging out outside. And if there's anybody I love more, it's firemen. And he's like, what are you doing here? He's we're hired by the insurance company to sit here and to protect these 5 houses. Because those 5 houses were worth about $30 million. These guys were from Minnesota. The insurance company is paying these guys, or paying the fire department or whatever, $55,000 a month to take a fire truck and 3 firemen and just sit there. Because if one of those homes went down, they just protected a loss of millions of dollars to the insurance company. That was pretty interesting. I thought that was a pretty, not that it's exactly.
I haven't heard of that. That's wild.
But it makes sense.
I could see them. I mean, it's much less to protect those buildings now before than after. So
You're absolutely correct. And I thought about that. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's a great idea.
Yep.
So
yeah, and just so when it comes to clients like that with insurance companies, our battle isn't, we're not here to bash insurance companies, or like, especially us, like our company, to bash insurance companies, or
Of course not.
They're a business to make profit, right? They have the model to build to take in premiums, pay claims when they have to, and fight them when they like. I mean, that's their business model, and we have nothing against it. And the claims we help, or the people we help, are people that are really in need, that really got lowballed, or people that like we know need help. There's people that call in that are trying to make a claim when there's no claim to be made, right?
Right.
And that's where we draw the line and say, hey, insurance company's there to pay you when something happens, but it's not your saving. Like, they don't owe you to maintain your house or paint your house and all that stuff.
Right. And I'm sure you come across a lot of ethical or unethical
Correct.
people out there trying to create a claim when really, like you just said. That's great.
Correct. And it's both sides, right? Yeah. So we see it all the time. So that's why we do our due diligence when we take on new clients.
Great. Hey, is there anything else that you want to add? Because we're wrapping up the show, if you can believe that already. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah. No. I mean, just wrap it up for your listeners. If they want to find us, if they want to, Google Allcity Adjusting. My name, Andy Gurkzak. I mean, we have videos out there. We have blogs out there. They could call us at 844-MY-ADJUSTER. I mean, it's really easy to get a hold of us. If you type in public adjuster, pretty much anywhere in America, we usually come up number 1. So
Yeah, Keith, do you have that slide of his contact information that you can pop up?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
thank you, Keith.
He's the producer and the owner of the TV studio. We happen to have the owner of the studio serving as the producer today. What a beautiful thing. So, but anyway, no, Andy, that's terrific, and I appreciate you taking the time to explain what it is you do, because you helped me understand it, and to better understand the value that the public adjusters bring to the table. And you know, someone should call you first, and correct me if I'm wrong, they call you first, you may just say to them, hey, you know what? You either don't have a claim, or your claim is really simple, you probably don't need me, or hey, you really do have something here. You serve as a consultant to the client.
We take calls we have about, I don't know, we have a large volume of claims we take, or calls we take every day. We're literally just telling people, hey, this is the situation. You don't really need a PA, or hey, you need this, or you know, this is how, you know, it's free. So people don't understand, like, it's free to call us, it's free to talk to us, it's free to have your like policy reviewed. We look over policies for clients all the time. You know, we try to help as many people and as much as we can. That's kind of how we build our business. And then, you know, if something does happen, hopefully we get that call.
By the way, you know, we do the same thing. You know, we receive calls, emails, things along that nature often. And you know, if someone calls and you can help them out during the course of a 10 or 15 minute phone call, guess what? We're happy to help them. You know, it doesn't need
yeah, that's how we feel.
So great. Do you have anything you wanted to ask or add?
No, Andy, this was very informational. Thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
you know, I mean, this is good to know, because, you know, hey, guess what? When people have situations, oftentimes they call us and let us know, oh my goodness, hey guys, we just had a situation. Because, you know, they're calling us as the financial advisors anytime there's something big that happens. And, you know, a claim or a loss is something big that happens. And, you know, this is good to know. So thank you for explaining how public adjusting works. And thank you for being a guest on our show. And with that, I'm wrapping up. And, you know, to all of the viewers, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you on our next show. And thank you again, Andy. Thank you, Kyle, for joining us. And we will see you next time on the next episode of Financial Planning Explained. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week.